The 7 Deadly Mistakes That Inventors Make by Shine Enterprise.
Welcome to your next deadly mistake: buy expensive services before getting a proof of principle. In this deadly mistake, you're going to find out how important the proof of principle step is and how dangerous and wrong it is to pay for any big ticket services or products from any companies before getting a proof of principle. You're also going to see what happened to me with Dish Shine, my first invention. And the reason I'm going to show you that is so that you can avoid this ever happening to you. This is what happened to me before I knew anything about invention, when I came up with my first invention and was a startup inventor, which you may be yourself right now. You're going to see that, and that's going to stop you from ever making this mistake. As you're going to see, I blew thousands of dollars by allowing a company to take me down their route, and it ended up being completely wrong. So what I'm going to give you in this deadly mistake is 3 videos. We're going to start up with a video that shows you what a proof of principle is. This is often called a proof of concept as well. I know you might already know this. You might have seen this video on the Inventors Journey website. You might have even built a basic version of your invention yourself, which is great. But even if you've done that, I want you to watch this video because it will give you a better understanding of where you are in the whole process right now, where you are in your journey and what you need to do at this point. So we're going to go through that. The next video I'm going to give you is about Dish Shine and what happened when I went to an invention development company before I knew any of this stuff, and why it was so catastrophic and why this must not happen to you. And finally, in your summary and solutions section, obviously I'm going to go over the summary and talk about what your solutions are, but I'm also going to make a point to tell you what you can get before the proof of principle, the services you can get. So of course you can get a patent search before, because that's nearly always the first thing you've got to do. And I'll also make a point of telling you what you should not buy before getting a proof of principle. And that again will just set you in really good position to know exactly what you've got to do right at this point. So let's start off with your first video and we'll find out exactly what a proof of principle is.
Step 3. Proof of principle.
A proof of principle is a basic, ugly version of your invention. The idea is to spend as little time and money as possible and prove that your inventive concept actually works. All non-essential parts are left out to save time and money, and the cheapest and most basic materials are used. In the Dish Shine proof of principle, the cleaning disc was just a circular piece of cut plastic, and the foam was cut from a kitchen sponge. Even if your invention is simple and you know it's going to work, it's still extremely important to build a proof of principle as soon as you can. This is because at the proof of principle stage, you often find out new information about your invention that you hadn't yet considered. This new information is what the proof of principle stage is all about. This is the first time your idea, i.e. something you came up with in your head, is going to become a reality. And the process of going from idea or thought to actually being a reality often throws up problems, issues, or things about your invention that you hadn't considered in your head. We don't want to encounter these issues at the high quality prototype stage, where they could cost many thousands or more than $10,000. We want to encounter them as quickly and cheaply as possible. That's why we do the proof of principle now. And this new information and feedback you receive at the proof of principle stage is important for 2 reasons. 1, it gives you feedback about the build and functionality of what will become your finished product. This is obviously important for your high quality prototype, but it's also important for your presentation materials so that they can be as realistic to your finished product as possible, and to make sure they show a version of your invention that actually works. And 2, and this is a huge reason for doing the proof of principle, because this new information you find out at the proof of principle stage can become critical to your patent. In fact, it's not uncommon that the proof of principle stage reveals something you hadn't thought about that becomes the focus of your patent. So the proof of principle stage is critical to your patenting path, and that's why you do it well before your non-provisional patent application. In summary, the proof of principle stage is the first time your idea becomes a reality, albeit a basic one. It often reveals new information that becomes critical to the build and patenting of your invention. Do it first, before presentation materials, before getting a high quality prototype, and before your non-provisional patent application. If it's too expensive or requires too much expertise for you to be able to build a proof of principle, you may have to bypass this step and go to presentation materials. But just be aware you're missing crucial information that could be important to the build and patenting of your invention.
Okay, so now that that's clear exactly what a proof of principle is, let's move on and I'll tell you exactly what happened to me with my first invention dish shine when I went to an invention development company and how this went catastrophically wrong on account of not doing a proof of principle and how the whole thing led to massive loss of money, massive loss of time and effort and me having to start from scratch. And in a strange sort of way, it's good that that happened because this forced me to build Shine Enterprise and become a patent specialist and design my own products, this type of thing. But I wouldn't want that to happen to you. So take a look at this video and remember this is really, really important because there's a lot of companies that are going to be trying to get to you right now and monetize you by taking you down their route. And a lot of time they're going to want you to pay for big ticket services, graphics or build, certain things they're going to charge, maybe even a patent application, a full non-provisional, before you've done the proof of principle. So it's really important you see exactly what happened to me with DishShine, and I'll explain it in a way so it makes a lot of sense to your situation as well. So here's the video about what happened to me with DishShine.
So when I first started out as an inventor, before I knew anything about patenting and design at all, the invention development company I went to carried out 3 steps before doing a proof of principle, and you can see those 3 steps in front of you now. In this video, I'm going to show you why what they did was catastrophic to my invention and why you need to make sure this never happens to you. You're going to see what a bad idea it is to let invention development companies lead you through their model, and you'll learn how important the order you do things is, and why the order is as it is in the Inventor's Journey map. I'm hoping after this video that you'll see, if you hadn't already realized, how important this map is as a guide to you patenting and moving forward with your invention to protect you from this type of mistake. So the first thing they did was a patent search. At that point, my invention DishShine, a next generation shoe polisher, was very undeveloped. You can see here the sketch I sent to them when I first disclosed DishShine. I'd already come up with a name, but it was really just a disc with a pad and 2 clips to help with holding it. They did a patent search, so at least they got that right. You should always start with a patent search. So the first step, in a sense, was at least correct. Although the patent search they did was not a claim-based patent search, which is what your invention will get as part of the inventor's journey. They charged me £500, that's around $800 for the search, and they said it came back clear. The next thing they did was a 3D product design and presentation package. This is where they do 3D renders of your invention. Here's the design and renders they came up with. As you can see from the Inventor's Journey map, they've already gone very badly wrong when it comes to the order. Product design comes much later, but I was none the wiser, so I went on with it. These graphics they did cost me £1,500, around $2,300, although this company now charge a lot more for this service. I believe they charge over $3,000. After that, they recommended I go to a patent attorney to get a full non-provisional patent application filed at the UK Patent Office. They said they had a business agreement with one patent attorney firm and could therefore get me a real cut down or cut price deal, a starting price of only £600, which is around $1,000. That was an extremely low price, so I did what they recommended. Remember, at this point, I had no knowledge or understanding of patenting whatsoever. In fact, it totally confused me. Despite the first cost being quoted of around £600, after all the extra charges, it ended up costing £2,100, well over $3,000. The patent attorney based the whole application off of the design the invention development company had done in the renders, and in fact, he initially used those exact graphics as the patent drawings in the initial non-provisional filing, although they have to be replaced with equivalent blackline patent drawings later for an extra several $100s because patent offices tend not to allow images like this as patent drawings. If you want to see, by the way, how to convert CAD and graphics like this into blackline patent drawings, iPatent Drawing shows you how to do that in the patent pending package. In the meantime, the invention development company then did a proof of principle. Their proof of principle was really, really bad and had nothing to do with my invention concept for dish shine at all. They must have realized as they were doing it that they needed a much bigger motor than they had thought, and without my consent, they just completely ignored the whole inventive concept of dish shine, which was for an ultra compact spinning disc with very low height and diameter, and instead just mounted a big average motor vertically on a pad, something which had been done many, many times over many, many decades, needed no proving, and had nothing to do with the invention concept I come up with. Somehow they rationalized charging me £550 for this to put a motor on a pad, despite the fact it had nothing to do with the inventive concept I had paid them to prove. When I came up with the solution of mounting the motor sideways and having a non-central gearing solution, they refused to consider it was possible and started to send me very average designs for tube-shaped cleaning devices, which was not what I had paid them for. Their work was extremely generic. Because the proof of principle had shown that a large micromotor was required to power a shoe cleaning device, the two expensive services they had charged me for were now useless. The graphics were now completely useless for presentation purposes because the proof of principle had shown that this design with such a small motor and housing was technically not at all possible. And because the non-provisional patent application after that was based completely on that design and in fact used those exact renders and images as the patent drawings, it was totally useless too. And on top of that, because I only came up with the inventive solution of the sideways mounted motor and gearing solution after the non-provisional patent application was filed, it meant that if I wanted to patent that new inventive concept, I had to file a whole new non-provisional patent application with all the fees that entails, because you can't add anything to a patent application once it's filed. You can't add any new stuff into that. So effectively, their system had left me $7,000 down and right back where I'd started. So I was now $7,000 out of pocket, that's £4,650 in UK money, and I had to start all over again from scratch. I decided to withdraw the patent application, and when the patent attorney then tried to charge me $100 to have the patent application withdrawn, and I looked online and found out you can do it for free within 1 minute by emailing the UK Patent Office, I withdrew it myself for free and ended our agreement. So what happened here? Why did it go so wrong? And how can you make sure this never happens to you and your invention? The key here is that they should have done the proof of principle before the two expensive packages of the product design presentation graphics and the non-provisional patent application. If they'd done the proof of principle before those, we would have encountered the issue of the motor having to be a significant size before committing to a design for the graphics. The design then could have incorporated that fact, and the graphics could have incorporated it too. Instead, the graphics showed a useless design and were useless for presentation. So that's an example of the proof of principle giving you vital information relevant to the build of your invention. I also would have come up with my solution of the sideways mounted motor and gearing solution and could have filed a non-provisional that focused on that key inventive concept. Instead, because the proof of principle was only done later, I was left with a non-provisional patent application I had to withdraw at a loss of $3,000 or more. So that's an example of the proof of principle giving you vital information relevant to the patenting of your invention. In other words, if we'd done the proof of principle before the expensive services, I would have met this problem for only about £1,000 spent rather than £4,650 wasted. That's why it's absolutely key that you do the proof of principle before paying for any expensive services. Sometimes invention development companies want to get you straight into an expensive service after the patent search. Perhaps it makes financial sense for them to do that, but it means potential devastation for your invention, for your bank balance, and for your time frame. This could set you back a year or more, and it could negatively impact your patenting too. So, as a near on 100% rule, never allow a company to charge you and move ahead with expensive patenting, product design, or prototype services before first doing a basic proof of principle for as cheap as possible. It's a key step in your journey of patenting and getting your invention to market.
So as you can see, going to an invention development company, you're going to get pulled into their strategy, and their strategy is normally, or in pretty much every case I've seen, is primarily about making money. And when you do that, there's a really significant chance you're going to get pulled massively off track in terms of where exactly you should be going. All right, to break this all down and just finish this off, let's take a look at the summary and your solutions, and I'll also give you insights exactly as to what you can or should get before proof of principle, and what you really should always, if possible, avoid buying before, until after you've got the proof of principle. Let's take a look at your summary now.
Never pay for expensive services before first getting a basic proof of principle. Not only does the proof of principle prove whether your invention concept actually works, it gives you vital information which is often key to the build, design, and patenting of your invention. Do it first before paying big money for any services. Here are some of the expensive services you should not get before getting a proof of principle. Product design and presentation materials. Your proof of principle could show that the design is wrong or needs improvement. Non-provisional patent application. Your proof of principle very often reveals exactly how you should patent your invention, and even if it proves your patenting strategy is right in a general sense, it often reveals new information about your invention and new details that you would want to be in your non-provisional. Remember, you can't add more information to your non-provisional once it's filed. You'd have to file and pay for a whole new non-provisional. So do the proof of principle first before your non-provisional patent application, so that your non-provisional has all those nice details and information about your invention that you find out from your proof of principle. Here's the services you can or should do before your proof of principle. If you look at the inventor's journey map, there are two steps that come before the proof of principle: the patent search and provisional patent application to get patent pending. You should always start with a patent search, so you can do that before your proof of principle. You can also do a provisional patent application to get patent pending on what came back clear from your patent search. This gets you an early filing date at the patent office for your invention concept, which can be important in stopping other people being able to patent your invention before you. And even if your proof of principle shows your invention concept isn't even possible, as with what happened with this shine, in the inventor's journey, the perfect patent search costs $895 and the patent pending package costs only $369. So you'll only have spent around $1,250 if this happens to you, rather than the $7,000 I lost with all the problems it caused. So remember, the order you move forward is key to your chances of success with your invention. Never let any company or person charge you for expensive build, design, or patent services without first doing a basic proof of principle. Remember that some companies might try to get you involved in very expensive services very early on, even straight after the patent search. After your patent search and getting patent pending with a provisional patent application, your proof of principle is the next step you should do in the inventor's journey, and quite an exciting step too. If you've already built a proof of principle yourself, make sure you get steps 1 and 2 done first before moving forward onto the next steps with your invention.